off and running on the Krueger Show Saturday morning, 9:26 on the West Coast. That means it's 26 minutes afternoon back east, where the coach joins us for the Krueger and the Coach on Saturday. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. The preseason has come to an end for the 49ers. The rest of the preseason action ends around the league today. The 49ers and Raiders tied last night in Las Vegas. We'll talk about all of it. The knee injuries to Leonard Floyd and Yatir Gross-Matos, Isaac Guerendo, who's quarterback 2, who's on the bubble, who's going to be cut, who's going to be traded, what's the latest with Aiyuk, what's the latest with Trent, what the hell, Ricky Pearsall, and a lot more. We got a lot more. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go get some brisket chili. Tell them the Krug sent you. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. And last but certainly not least, our brand new sponsor, Mancini's Sleep World, is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. I got a brand new Mancini's bed. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. The entire process was streamlined. So they offer a 120-night guarantee, a range of brands and price points. With Mancini's, you get free next-day delivery. Type in Krug and get 10% off in-store or at sleepworld.com. That's Krug 10, Krug 10, to get 10% off in-store or online at sleepworld.com. We'll talk more about them later on. Coach, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Doing good, man. Excited, chomping at the bit. The season is here. We are officially in Jets week. Thank God. Preseason is over. Off season is over. We are about the business of football finally. So I'm excited to be here. We got a lot. Of information going into the last game, being able to get an extended look at Brock, got an extended look at what seems to be part of a starting offense and defense. So I'm excited. It seems like the picture is finally starting to come into focus as to what we are going to be as a football team coming into the season. I'm ready to talk about it, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, everybody hit like and subscribe. If you hit the like, that just helps more people find the show. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell, anytime I go live here, anytime the coach goes live on his YouTube channel, you can be alerted by just hitting subscribe at our channel and hit that notification bell. And thanks for joining us on the on this Saturday morning. Coach, what was your primary takeaway from the game? Why don't we start at quarterback? It's interesting. Who is QB2? Is there going to be a QB3? Is QB3 on the 53-man roster? Is QB3 on the practice squad solely? What do you think? How are the Niners going to play their hand at quarterback?
Well, I think they're going to do 2 this year. Obviously, because I feel like there's other groups on our team that just seem a little bit too rich to let go, particularly corner. I'm looking at possibly keeping 6 or 7 corners this year. They're too good to let go. We get in the middle of the year, later on into the season, and then we get guys coming off the street. I'd say right now, Josh Dobbs has put himself in the number 2 position, in my opinion. Not just on what he did, the game and the performance that he had last night, which was 8 for 10 for 72 yards, 7.2 yard average per throw with a touchdown throw himself and a couple of scampers. But really what he's been doing all throughout off season. I mean, he looked decent against Tennessee, right? He actually had really good drives, extending the ball down the field. In the last previous game that we saw him in, Brandon Allen is Brandon Allen for me. Really the attraction of Brandon Allen is how much Kyle likes him. I really don't see anything out of Brandon Allen once he's on the field that actually says like an asset. Maybe it's from the neck up and he really knows the system in and out. But I just don't see like anything out of Brandon Allen that would constitute him being our number 2 guy. And quite frankly, I think Tanner Mordecai is better than Brandon Allen. I think I'm impressed with what Tanner Mordecai has done in his short stint here. So I think they keep 2. Tanner Mordecai clear waivers, and they'll be able to stash him away on the practice squad. So that's how I see the quarterback room shaping out. And then of course Brock, he's our guy.
Yeah, so you would cut Allen, go with Dobbs, cut Mordecai, and hopefully
Pick him up.
if Mordecai and Allen clear waivers, who's your practice squad QB
Tanner Mordecai.
over Allen? Okay.
Yeah, not even close.
It's weird. I don't know. I watched the entire preseason. I watched every single practice. I don't see a big difference between Dobbs and Allen. I really don't.
Okay.
At first I thought, neither guy's any good. And then as the summer progressed, I kind of thought, well, both these guys are decent. I like the way Allen ripped it yesterday. I love the way he kind of attacked downfield a couple times. I think Shanahan would go with Allen over Dobbs. I think Dobbs, to me, looks like a guy who is a little. I think his upside is a little better than Allen's, and his floor is a little lower than Allen's. So it's like if you want to be a little bit more conservative, maybe you go Brandon Allen. If you want to roll the dice a little bit more, you go Josh Dobbs. That's how I look at it. I was on the pregame yesterday with John Lund from KMBR. He brought up an interesting point. He said it might be about who between Dobbs and Allen is more likely to clear waivers. So, like, his thought was Dobbs is less likely to clear waivers. So that if you wanted to keep both, you would keep Dobbs as the 2, waive Allen, let him clear waivers, and then put Allen on the practice squad if you wanted to keep, if theoretically, if you wanted to keep all the veterans. Maybe you could do that. Maybe Allen sneaks through waivers. I guess my thing would be I'm cool with either one. I really am. I think Dobbs is smart. He's athletic. He's a great competitor. I think he proved that when he did that John Elway helicopter, dive earlier this preseason. I mean, he's all in. He's smart. And he's super athletic, and he's got the off, he can scramble a little bit. So I do like the Dobbs skill set a little bit more than the Allen skill set. I get the sense that Shanahan trusts Allen a little bit more than Dobbs because he's been in the offense longer. I don't want to lose Mordecai as the third guy. So, but I totally agree with you. I think your premise is totally on the money here, Coach, because of the incredible depth that the Niners have at corner. And after last year, where they had great depth with Deshaun Jameson, cut him, and then spent like the next 10 years looking for him. I don't want to usurp the corner depth. I don't want to cut Rock Yassin. I don't want to cut Sam Womack. I don't want to cut Darrell Luter. I want to keep all these guys. So I'm going to go with 2 quarterbacks, and I think I'm going to probably go with 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends?
I think so, because I mean, I did a 53, and we can go through it, but my 53, it's really, really, really hard to get to 53.
Who's going to play the third tight end? They use stuff like that, though, Larry. They
I know,
use double tight. They use a lot of double tight formations and stuff. You can't literally have 100% of your room on the floor, on the field in one formation.
Well, here would be my thought on it, is that I'm going to keep Guerendo, and I have Juszczyk, and I have JJ. So I feel like I'm covered with a blocker with Saubert, and I don't really love the other receiving tight ends. We can get to it right here. I'm not a big Latu fan. I thought he had his best game yesterday. I'm not a big Willis fan after watching him just get clowned as a blocker. Tongus has had the best camp, but I don't think he's NFL, to be completely blunt about it. And then Logan Thomas is just a guy. Mason Pline got no run. It's clear to me they want to practice squad him. So I think it's this is just a quick breakdown. I went 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 2 tight ends, 6 wide receivers, 9 O-linemen, 3 specialists. I have 9 D linemen right now, but I think I'd like to have 1 more. 6 linebackers, 4 safeties, And that gets us to corner where, I want to go with 7 and the numbers don't add up. You need to cut at least one more guy from the roster to get to 7. But I have Ward, Lenore, Green as my starters.
Okay.
Yadam, Yasin, Womack, and Luter. And the only guy that's good that I'm cutting is Ambry.
I would get rid of Womack too and keep Luter.
See, I want Luter and Womack.
I mean, I think Sammy got himself cut yesterday.
I know he got that burned late. He got burned late for that touchdown.
Yeah, and then also just to read the tea leaves a little bit, Larry, they just re-signed Logan Thomas after letting him go, so there's no way they're keeping 2 tight ends.
I know. See, what did you make of that? Why did they let him go? If they love this guy so much, why did they let him go?
Well, in hindsight, I think that maybe they believe that they already had what they needed in the tight end room. And as time progressed throughout camp, they realized like, this ain't it. We're not, because for what it's worth, and this goes to show you how non-biased I can be. Cam Latu, if there's any type of honesty on this team, Cam Latu does not make this team this year. He is not.
Oh, come on. He can't make it.
He's shown no consistency, and that's my guy too, but he's shown no consistency.
No urgency. I think he just lacks urgency.
Yeah, and Braden Willis, I mean, they've almost given up on him at tight end. They're trying to get him.
Coach, he got bounced around as a blocker.
He's got no base. He's got no anchor.
Base. No anchor. Yeah. That's the way to say it. He's got no ability to sink his hips
and root himself into the ground and be a force. Like he gets moved like at
a wide receiver.
He's on skates. Yeah. And on top of it is that he has like really no, like his spatial awareness is like really off. Like he'll reach a guy and like he doesn't know where he's at on the field. His spacing is always off as far as juxtaposed to like guys next to him. He's always running into his own players. Anyway, but so that's 2 guys that are off the list, right? Pline is an NFL tight end. He's not ready, right?
I mean, I think he is an NFL tight end, but he's a
year away.
He's clearly ticketed for the practice squad.
Right. Clearly. What I mean by not an NFL tight end is he's a year away, right? So Pline's a year away. Latu no. Willis no. It's Saubert, Tungus, and George. Now we know Tungus is borderline. All right.
Played really well this summer, but he's just thin. He's light.
Yeah,
he doesn't anchor. He's just not great at anything.
Yeah, he's light in the ass. He ain't got his man body yet. So Tungus isn't gonna make it. Saubert's a good guy, but that's basically a glorified Charlie Warner. Right?
He's a blocker. Yeah, I mean he's a blocker. He's slow. He's slow.
He's so slow. Did you see him on that out route? Trying to catch the ball in the red zone, that 2-yard out route he picked up. I mean, that thing was like watching paint dry. It took him forever to get out there.
Seriously,
but
he's slow.
He's a slow boy. So Saubert, George, you got to have Logan. You can't count on Latu, Pline, or who's the other kid? Latu, Pline, or Tungus. You can't count on him.
I mean, I would say this. To me, this is Kittle's going to make the roster. Sauerbert's going to be probably your number 2 because he can block.
Right.
Line is your designated practice squad guy. I think everybody else is cut or traded. I do think that this position coach is one of the, 2 or 3 that the 49ers will be looking around the league to see who else gets cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
there's tight ends they loved in the draft. There's tight ends they loved in free agency. There's tight ends on other teams. They're you try to get the deepest, best roster you can for camp. But if you can't, you get what you can get. They didn't have a great tight end room. It was just an okay tight end room. I personally would be okay with 2 tight ends because you are giving a roster spot to both Juszczyk and Guerendo. So it's like one of those guys who's 220 pounds should be able to play tight end, or JJ should be able to flex out and use him as the, flexed out
Move
Ross
that.
Dwelley tight end, the move tight end, and then use one of those other receivers. Maybe you go one more receiver because you're going to use JJ in that manner. I'll be looking at the cut down, for rookies, for guys that I liked on other teams, and I think they will be too.
I just
that's
think
one area.
It'd be a little.
I think they need to go too.
Making them inline, making Juice and Guerendo inline blockers. I think that hurt them. Putting their coming from the backfield, 4 to 5 yards from space, and blocking at an angle, trying to beat a guy to the point of attack, and we're stretching the ball. That's one thing, right? Bending back to catch up trash on the backside of a counter, and you're coming from space. That's a whole different ball game. But blocking a man from zero who is either standing up 3 yards over top of you or 1 yard away from your face, and you got to actually move him off the line of scrimmage, that's two different universes. I don't think that Isaac Guerendo, Jawan Jennings, or Juice are ready for that type of world. To literally be 6 inches away from Colton McKivitz or Trent, when they split and their hand in the dirt, they get blown up. It's a different ball game. It's only 3 yards, but it's a whole different world from the backfield to the line of scrimmage. I just don't. It'd be hard. It'd be a hard ask.
No doubt. Let me just get up the roster here.
Yeah,
I want to put the roster up. Okay, so couple things on last night's game. One, I thought Guerendo, he made the team. Would we agree that he made the team on last night's performance?
Isaac Guerendo has made the team. Yes.
Yeah. So he's RB5, right? So you got Christian, is Mitchell on the team? See,
yeah.
My 5 running backs were Mitchell, Mason, McCaffrey, Guerendo, and Juszczyk, with Breida, Taylor, Vaughn, and Schrader being cut. Hopefully Schrader to the practice squad. That's kind of how I pared down the running back room. I loved Schrader going into this camp, but Schrader was just not enough of an NFL athlete, and Guerendo, literally I'm giving Guerendo the roster spot over Schrader, not because he's a better player, just because he's a better athlete.
Okay.
That, and I'm so that's kind of how I had that. I had five running backs. Let me ask you this: who is, because once we get to this last preseason game, I start to look around, and I have thoughts about the roster. Give me one guy that you really, really like and are fearful the 49ers are going to wind up cutting him. Is there a guy on this roster that you're like, this guy can play? I'm convinced of it. And I'm also convinced that the 49ers may not know that, and he may get cut.
Okay. I think I have 2 guys.
Okay.
So one, I really don't want them to cut Cody Schrader.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. And I kind of feel the same way. So go ahead. What do you what's your reasoning?
I like Cody Schrader because he can do a little bit of everything that the Niners are asking to do. He's a hard runner. And he's shown that even with his size, it's very hard to get him down off the first contact. He's got good vision. He runs his steps very well. I mean, by his 3rd step, it's a read step. By his 4th step, he's cutting. I mean, he's really has picked up the inside and outside zone scheme, which is something that is hard to do. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen Jordan Mason for so long, is because he had to get through Bobby Turner. Bobby Turner would not let him on the field. Yep. The fact that Cody Schrader is showing what he can do with this run game is not necessarily emblematic of how he's pleasing Kyle, but how he's actually passing the Bobby Turner test. So for me, that speaks volumes for a young kid to be doing that. Also, he does fairly well in blocking. That's something that I thought that, because you get smaller backs, it's like, oh, but he runs so well with the ball. It's like, yeah, but that's more than playing running back is not just is outside of carrying the ball. He does well blocking. I like how he runs in all of this. I've been seeing all of this, not just in preseason, but we saw this in practice, Larry. Cody Schrader's been doing this since camp. He's been the first guy out on the practice field, one of the last guys to leave since the day he got here. I mean, that just speaks to the awesome type of guy we would have in the locker room as well. On top of the fact that he's been actually a bright spot in a run game where the offensive line hasn't been necessarily consistent. And he's still been balling out.
I would even go further than that. Not only has it not been consistent, when he hasn't run or he hasn't looked good, it's because he's got no hole. I mean, you can't run through two defenders who are in the backfield. I mean, you can, but I mean, that's hardly the expectation. I thought, Cody Schrader, it wasn't like Cody Schrader, Shanahan always has that saying, Coach, hey, if it's blocked for 2, you got to get at least 2. If it's blocked for 4, you got to get at least 4. I haven't seen him this summer, either in practice or in the game, where it was blocked for 4, but he got 2, or he blocked for 2 and he got stuffed. He seems like he's getting what it's blocked for. I'm not sure if he's getting more than that, but he's not getting less. So I like what I see out of Schrader, but I also don't think he's I hope he's not claimed off waivers. I don't think he would be. I think they can get him to the practice squad. I would be. Okay. I'll just say this: if it came down to it, I think there's a better chance that Cody Schrader gets through the waivers than Guerendo.
Okay.
What do you think? Because Guerendo's big, strong, fast. Cody Schrader's instinctive.
Guerendo will get picked up right away.
Yeah, he's just too big, too fast.
All right, so I have one more and a bonus. So also Garrett Kingston. You
think that he doesn't make it?
Yeah, I don't think he makes it because of the guards that we have that are hurt. I think he may not make it because of the emergence of Puni, right? So Puni just took somebody's spot. We're not letting go of Feliciano when he comes back off injury, and we're not letting go of Spencer Burford. So, and then Aaron Banks has got to come back. So that's 3 guards right there. All right. That are not playing.
I have 9 offensive linemen on my roster. And my 9 are the 5 starters right now, right? So Trent, Banks, Brendel, Puni, and McKivitz. And then so I have 4 backups. And my 4 backups, Coach, are Jalen Moore, Spencer Burford, Jarrett Kingston. And to me, the last spot comes down to Nugent or Zakel. And I like Zakel as a dude. He's a good dude. But I think Nugent may have outplayed him in the preseason if you really graded it out. Nugent is one of the guys that I think they're going to cut that I'd be fearful that they would cut and lose. Because I think Drake Nugent's going to play center in the NFL for 8-10 years.
Well, there's a name that I didn't hear you say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you think Ben Barch isn't going to make it?
No, I don't think Ben is going to make it. So and that's another tough one, Coach. I mean,
I think Ben Barch is going to make it.
Yeah, and you might be right. I mean, and I'll say this: Forster loves Ben Barch.
Yeah,
and he's the coach, and it's his call. So you might be onto something there. But here's the thing about the backups. I think you got to have the backup tackle, right? So Jalen Moore for sure is making it.
For sure.
Kingston has played some tackle. So
he played tackle throughout camp.
Yeah, I mean, but he played guard and tackle. But I mean, and some people think he can play center. And Kingston is kind of a power lifter. The functional strength.
I'm not sure what the functional strength. Drake Nugent is expendable because of Kingston's versatility.
Yeah,
Kingston can play O-train.
Puni's very versatile.
Yes. Puni can play, not Puni, but Kingston can play center, guard, and tackle.
To me,
Drake Nugent is a center. Period. He's just a center.
I guess here's my question: is who's better between Zakel and Nugent? And I know Zakel's Purdy's buddy, and so obviously that I think they're pushing him.
That plays.
I really do.
That plays.
I think they're pushing him. I also think that Zakel can play guard and center. But I've watched Zakel closely this summer. I have to. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it.
I see it more at guard for him than center.
Yeah, he the quickness, it seems like at center. He has a hard time keeping the guys in front of him.
He's huge. He is 6'7".
6'6".
He's 6'6" playing center. Yeah, that really doesn't help him. He's a big boy at center. I like him at guard, Larry. I really do. It's almost unfair to him from just his body to be at center, and the way he plays. He's a very upright player. He pops out of his stance very high. He uses his length, but that can hurt you when you're going up against shades and nose tackles that really want to get under your pads and long arm you. So I don't know. Like, I feel like Drake Nugent. Drake Nugent has grown on me somewhat. I still think that he needs a little bit more polish, but I feel like he's too one note for what we needed offensive line. Like, he is a center, but that's all he is. Like, Drake Nugent's not a guard. He's not long enough. He's too short of a guy, so he can't reach. He's got good athleticism, but that only plays from the center position, the angles that you're going to be asking him to do. He can't do that stuff at guard. He's too little. So I when we start talking about backup offensive line, we got to start thinking about versatility. That's what matters, in my opinion. That's what matters.
No, you're totally right. Yeah. If you're a backup offensive lineman, you have to be able to play multiple spots. It's as simple as that. And I think they'll go with 4 backups. At times, some teams go with 3. Some teams go with 8 linemen. I think the Niners probably go with 9. As I said, I think the 5 starters plus Jalen Moore, Burford, Kingston, Zakelj, Nugent on the practice squad. The only one that's I'm not sure about is Hubbard, because I know they would like to have one more tackle. Maybe would they go with Hubbard over Kingston and try to get Kingston and Nugent? Kingston was a 6th-round pick, Nugent an undrafted free agent. Maybe you get both of those young linemen to the practice squad. I could see them going that direction as well, keeping Hubbard, cutting Kingston, keeping Zakelj, cutting Nugent, going with 9 offensive linemen and the 2 rookies off the practice squad. So that's one thing to look at. The guy that I'm fearful of not making the team, that I just am a huge fan of, is Jalen Graham. Do you think Jalen Graham's going to make this team? He didn't.
He should.
He barely played yesterday. He had 1 tackle. He missed.
I mentioned that yesterday.
He barely
was quiet. He was quiet yesterday. He had that. What was that? He had a tackle for loss in the backfield near the red zone. But he was quiet yesterday. You know who's really turning on? Bethune.
Yeah. But
Bethune
here's the thing. Bethune is making all kinds of tackles. But Graham can run and can play all 3 downs, where Bethune, I think, is a 1st and 2nd down guy who can't run. But, man, I want to keep Bethune, too.
But no.
To me, you know what it comes down to? This is my 6. Okay. These are my 6 linebackers. Warner and Campbell. I thought Campbell played well yesterday, by the way. I thought that was Campbell's best game, in my opinion. I have Warner and Campbell. I have Graham and Winters. I have Curtis Robinson. So I have 5 right there. And to me, I'm going with Tatum Bethune over Flanagan Fowles.
All right. Okay. Me too. So, in my opinion.
What were you thinking I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say keep Demetrius Flanagan Fowles. And I was like,
no. I mean, and I love Demetrius Flanagan Fowles. And I know Johnny
He's
Holland
one of the longest tenured guys here. We get it.
Yeah. But he's going to clear waivers, I think. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. But I'm not saying goodbye to Tatum Bethune after watching the guy in 3 preseason games make 23 tackles.
All over the field. Yeah.
He made 23 3 preseason games.
I mean, we did this before, and we kind of lucked out. Curtis Robinson was here before, and I was livid that we let him go. Remember when Curtis Robinson was here 2 years ago?
Oh, he's developed himself.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Developed.
He was a guy then, and then he ended up going to Denver, and I was so gutted. Like, dude, we lost a guy, man. But Curtis Robinson, Jalen Graham, D. Winters, Fred Warner, and Devondre Campbell, those are my guys. I think that you're right. Tatum Bethune has played his way onto this team, and Demetrius Flanagan Fowles is the odd man out. Right now, Jalen Graham has been slowing down. He looks good in his pads, Larry, but that really doesn't count for much. He's got to show some production. And for what it's worth, Jalen Graham.
Yeah.
Jalen Graham, he looked
great in the last game. In the last game,
he looked phenomenal.
He had a couple hits on the quarterback. He had a tackle for a loss. He had a sack. He had like 6 tackles. The last game, he was everywhere. In this game, I don't know if it was the usage or what, but he just didn't make that many plays. I just didn't see him out there that much. But to me, Jalen Graham is a really good linebacker prospect. I would be really pissed if they wind up losing him. And I think they may lose him. Why do I say that? Because when I asked Sorensen about Graham this week, I said, hey, what does Graham need to do to make that step forward and run with the ones? And not only did he not give an answer as to what he can do to run with the ones, he just kind of said that it's going to be a really tough cut at linebacker. Yes.
That was his response?
His response to how does Jalen Graham run with the ones is that it's going to be a really tough cut at linebacker. But I still don't see them cutting Graham, but they may want to go with Flanagan Fowles and Tatum Bethune. It might be a thing where Bethune is beating out Graham, but I like Graham's movement ability a lot more than Bethune's. I think if you go with Bethune, he's going to get isolated in space against an athlete and a key passing down, and they're going to force him off the field. Where Graham, I think, has got better versatility, better speed, better ability to play all the spots.
So if
please don't cut Graham. And that would be my thought.
If we're going off of what we've seen, and then, just based off the recent information that you've just given us, it may be Graham.
I know.
Because
I'm fearful of it.
One thing that they do here is they're all about loyalty and trust here. So that's what Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles has going for himself.
Yeah.
He hasn't necessarily had a bad preseason camp. What I mean by bad is I haven't noticed him that much. But then again, sometimes guys that are around for a long time, you just kind of like don't even commit them to memory. Tatum Bethune, for one, I will say this. If there's a blind spot on Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, right? Because they're just trusting him with all of the special team stuff and all of the supplementary roles that he plays here. If the real evaluation was to be had, if you're going back and watching last night, it was Curtis Robinson versus Tatum Bethune last night. And if you had to look at, who played better last night, you would have to say Curtis Robinson got himself cut last night.
Oh, but no. You're talking about Curtis Robinson, I think, made the team.
Not Curtis Robinson. So sorry. Jalen Graham. Sorry.
Yeah.
You would have to say Jalen Graham got himself cut last night.
I hope that's not the case.
Because Tatum Bethune outplayed him.
Oh, he did.
If it was head to head.
Yeah, he did. He did. But man, to me, I want both those guys. To me, I don't like trading instinctive young linebackers because it's just like you need those guys. And that's how you stop the run in the NFL is when you have instinctive young linebackers. I love what I've seen all summer from the Niner linebackers. Graham, Bethune, Winters, especially Robinson. Okay, how about safety? I think I've got them keeping 4 safeties: Jair Brown, Odom, Mustafa, and Hufanga. But is Hufanga ready to roll week 1? And is he going to start on the PUP or the IR or what? And then if he does, who does that create a 4th safety opening for? So it's Brown and Hufanga, George Odom and Mustafa. But if Hufanga, who's on the PUP right now, can't start the year, and you got to choose between Tracy Walker and Jalen Mahoney, want the veteran Walker, or you want the
Mahoney
kid Mahoney, or do you want Mahoney on the practice squad and Walker on the roster?
I don't think Mahoney would clear. Mahoney's been actually looking good to me.
Before
there was a dip, right? Do you remember when camp first started? Malik Mustafa was like the name, right? That's all we kept hearing about is how Malik Mustafa is like really asserting himself in practice. Then the pads came on and he kind of disappeared for a little bit, right? And the first week of pads, Malik Mustafa wasn't necessarily having really earth-shattering team periods. He was still working, but just diligently. But I'm going to tell you, throughout camp, we kept asking who number 49 was almost every play in drills. Then it translated to the games, man. He had a good game against Tennessee. Mahoney had some really good special teams plays. I like Jalen Mahoney. And then you go back and watch his film at Vanderbilt, and he was an all-world guy at Vanderbilt. He was a leader, right? So these are some of the guys, the type of guys that you want just in the locker room, guys that you want on special teams. And I know that this is sacrilege, but I don't really see that much of a difference in the athlete. Maybe the skill may be different, but I don't see that much of a difference between Jalen Mahoney and Malik Mustafa. I think that keeping Jalen Mahoney is almost like getting another Malik Mustafa type on the team. He's a stout guy, bigger kid, lumbering, knows how to deliver a blow, is sticky in coverage, plays with a lot of energy. I like Jalen Mahoney. Very smart. Yeah. He's a heady player. So
he's definitely one of the overlooked players in camp. He's been really good. He really has looked good. And he's shown that he's got an NFL future. He probably could use a year on the practice squad. But Jalen Mahoney is not just a throwaway guy. They did a really nice job. Niners personnel staff did a nice job this summer. This spring and this season. Yeah. They got a nice draft. They got some good undrafted guys. They made some really good decisions. I mean, they really did.
They did a good job getting the young boys in. They did. They did a good job.
It's a nice class this year. It really has. It's shown itself to be a nice class. Now time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. A couple more thoughts here. Let's hit a couple supers, then we'll hit a Mancini's. Ricky Williams says a couple of notes, fellas. We're effed at defensive end. Zakel is big for nothing. Braden Willis can't block. We need all these corners. The rookie O-line looks good. Puni is legit. Nugent is a good prospect, and Purdy is fire. So let's go, Rick. Let's go right through the list here. I think Ricky's pretty much spot on, Coach. I don't agree. I don't disagree with any of this. I do think they're screwed at defensive end. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Zakel is a big body, but I don't necessarily know that he's better than Nugent. So I kind of agree that he's big for nothing. But here's the thing about Zakel. He is a good prospect on paper, but we got to see it. And to me, I just see him losing a lot at the line of scrimmage. And it just, whether it's at guard or center. I know he's 6'6", 310, super tough, super smart, Purdy's best buddy, but he may not be as good as Nugent. So we'll see. Braden Willis, I agree, has no anchor as a blocker. And to me, you can't play tight end in the NFL if you can't anchor better than he has.
He's not stout. Yeah.
He's like,
I don't know.
JJ's more stout. JJ's more stout. He's a wide receiver.
And he's a wide receiver. That's aptly put. Thank you.
I agree with Ricky. We need all these corners. Last year they cut Deshaun Jameson, and they spent the rest of the year looking for him.
Yep.
I do think the rookie offensive linemen do look good. I do think Puni is absolutely legit. I do think Nugent is a good prospect. And of course, you know how I feel about Purdy. So I think Ricky is spot on. We have one more from Ricky. And give Mason the damn ball. Has a truer thing ever been said? To me, Coach, if you said to me, somebody walks up to me and they say, Krug, you're all over the Niners. You're down there every day. You've been watching camp. I've been on a boat traveling the world. I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything. Give me a thought on camp. What do I have to know about the Niners? My first thought would be JP Mason looks awesome. That would be my first thought. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching, everything, holdouts, trades. To me, first thought on the 49ers camp this summer, JP Mason looks awesome.
They can't hide it anymore.
That's true.
They can't hide it anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, like there's literally like this is how the needle has been moved on JP Mason. Now you guys, Larry, are gonna be inclined to ask now after games, why isn't he playing? Right.
Well, hopefully we don't have to ask anymore.
Yeah,
hopefully he will play.
But I'm just saying, it's to that point now, because now he's just polished, to the point now where
he can catch.
I don't.
How about that catch? How about that catch?
Be aggressive. He's toe tapping. JP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Larry, it's getting to the point now where there's maybe about 25 teams in the NFL that JP Mason could walk in and be their starting running back day one.
Dallas.
He would be like Arizona.
They'd be
you
little
don't think
kids running
Arizona
through
could use him
Dallas
right away?
JP Mason posters if that guy played for the Cowboys.
Dog, imagine if JP Mason played for the Rams, or if JP Mason played for the Seahawks. Or
I'll say it right now. I'm going to say it right now, Coach, and this guy's my friend. He's been on my show. JP Mason is better than Najee Harris.
Yes!
He's better than Najee.
Yes, JP Mason could go to Pittsburgh and start right now.
He's better. He can catch the ball better. He's got better speed, better body lean, breaks more. I don't know if breaks more tackles, but he is a more dynamic player than Najee. I don't think there's any doubt. JP Mason's got to play a lot this year. They got to get CMC. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to get CMC off the field. And it's not because he ain't awesome. It's because he wasn't awesome in the Super Bowl. Pickle jar CMC a little bit. I mean, my God, Kyle, I love you. I think you're a great coach. Pickle jar your top back a little bit in September, October, and November. When you get a 14-point lead and you're in the middle of the fourth quarter, get CMC off the field. And if he runs back out there, steal his helmet. Get him off the field. Play Mason. It's like it's a Moneyball movie. Hatterberg I want to go with Pena at first base. We want to go with Hatterberg. I want to see Mason run the ball when the game is decided. I don't want to see CMC anymore this year. I want to see Mason.
He had his chance. And really, speaking of chances, CMC, I love you, Christian.
Who had his chance, by the way? Who are you talking
about? Christian. He had his chance. I love you, Christian, but you stole every rep known to man last year for you to get that damn record. You did not leave anything to chance. And I get it. You're chasing a record. You want the ball 24/7. You want to be the leading rusher in the NFL. It's a feather in your cap. But my man, all carries are not built the same. They're not. And some of those rough carries where you had those brother-in-law agreements, bro, I need him to get off the field and put JP Mason back there so we can actually run the ball. Didn't it feel good to see us be on the 4-yard line yesterday and run the ball 3 times? Did that not feel good for us to get in the eye and just get in the 3-point stance and say, you know what? We're not tricking you. Everybody in the building knows who's getting the ball, and we're going to go score.
You know what felt good about it, Coach? You know what felt good to me is that it felt like Shanahan, as smart as he is, I think he feels pressure and grips. I think he gets down on the goal line. He looks at his play sheet. It's 19 deep with all these different calls, and he starts to flinch.
Yeah.
Dude, you've got run the ball.
Dog,
run
it's paralysis.
The ball.
It is paralysis by analysis. He has too many decisions, so he doesn't make a decision at all. And
too many weapons.
It's too many.
Too many. Just run the ball.
Turn around and give the ball to Jordan Mason. I think
you got a 240-pound power back.
He's going to be the easy button this year. I think he may be the easy button this year. I hope so, Larry.
I hope so too. Short yardage, goal line, run the big back. And
Who cares?
Now you got Guerendo too. So Guerendo's another big back who's going to hit it up there hard. Mark Salas says, I definitely am impressed with Guerendo. While fast, I see more of a 4.45 field speed instead of a 4.33. I hear you, but wait until you see this guy make somebody miss and then just open it up. To me, he's got the body, the legs, and the butt of he looks like a drag racing car. You know, like have you seen a drag racer that's super, it almost looks like it's like tilted down from the nose with a huge back end, and it just powers straight with all this ridiculous smoke. This guy is like that, man. He's not the most elusive. He's not going to make you miss that much, but you know what? if this guy does sidestep you, I mean, think about if you put him in there in the Niner passing game, and you throw it to Guerendo in the flat as you're covering all these other guys, and he sidesteps a linebacker, he's gone, man. I mean, at that size, and he took some hits last night, and I mean, big time hits, and guys just fell off of him. So I'm very impressed with Guerendo. I don't know if he runs to the 4.33 or 4.38 or whatever he's timed at, but he's big and fast. And
he's just getting off that injury, man. I mean, he's immediately an asset. He's immediately an asset.
One of my favorite things to do is share the screen and play a little Baldy. Here's a little Guerendo, and then we'll.
Sean is crazy.
The rookie out of Louisville.
Here's Baldy talking about Guerendo, and he'll show the play. Here it is.
This was a fun preseason game last night, and this is one of the plays why. Daniel Carlson kicks off to the rookie out of Louisville, Isaac Guerendo. All right? And right here, the return goes. It's the longest return in preseason. He gets an excellent block right here from the rookie Renardo Green. Now he's down the sideline. When the 49ers drafted Guerendo, they wanted it back with another gear. Well, Guerendo has another gear. He's leaking a little oil at the end of this when Sam Webb got him out of bounds. That's the longest kickoff return in the NFL in preseason, 93 yards right there. But he also looked good at running back as well. Like you watch him right behind the third-round pick right there, Puni, Dominic Puni, the starting guard right now, getting pushed. And this is just classic Shanahan running right here. Look at this wall with Kittle right there and Brendel and the whole gang. Look at that wall right there. He finds the wall, and he puts the hit right on the fullback. He's 220 pounds. Like, this is a kid that's got power. He's got size. Now, Willis goes in the backfield. All right, here we go. The wind back play. All right, pretty good job on the edge, and he's got the speed to get to the edge. I don't know if he's Elijah Mitchell, but he's a big back, got 4.33 speed, came on at Louisville last year, transferred from Wisconsin. Like, the guy's got something right there.
By the way, they showed Willis. Willis tried for the block twice, missed it, and his guy made the tackle. I mean, it was like,
yeah. I mean, dude, I was going to say that. Yeah,
that was funny.
Braden Willis is struggling, man.
That was cool. And then let's go one more Baldy here because he's got the Puni Highway. Here's
Dominic
Baldy talking
Puni's
Puni.
been named the starting guard for the 49ers, and rightfully so. He's earned it. Watch this little hook block right here in the nose tackle. Little hook to the left. Mason goes for 12. How about a little hook to the right? Hook to the left, hook to the right. You're starting to see what's going on right here. Puni's opening up these holes one after another. And then sometimes you just want to cruise. Sometimes you just want to get on the interstate. Just take your mind off things. That's when you just run right behind the interstate. That's Puni. The Puni Highway right there. And when you want to score and you want to punch it across the goal line, the tough yards. You know those yards where it's the difference between break and a will. Watch Puni just work and just keep working. And then just take the whole crew, and just plunge. The big plunge into the end zone. That's just a beautiful piece of work. Can somebody please put that, the Dominic Puni's resume reel? Put that on the resume right now.
That was awesome.
Baldy's the best, man.
Baldy is the best. He is absolutely the best.
Baldy gives me Jesse Ventura vibes.
Down in the
Baja. Down in Lake Compton.
He'll be like standing here and he'll show his finger. His finger goes that way. It's like all sideways and mangled.
Puni belongs down in the Baja, down in Lake Compton.
I had
Minnesota.
I had Baldy on last year in the playoffs, right? And so I had to ask him about that pinky. I'm like, bro, what happened on that pinky? And you know who destroyed his pinky?
Who?
Randy White, the Manster, the Hall of
Minnesota?
Famer, Dallas Cowboy defensive tackle.
Oh, okay, Randy White.
With,
okay,
Harvey Martin and Too Tall Jones.
So what
Randy
happened?
White, as a rookie, he said he got his pinky caught in Randy White's like face mask in like his first camp, and that it just like ripped away and tore out, and it just was dangling. So that's it right there. His finger is mangled because of the Manster, Randy White. I love Baldy, man. Baldy's fantastic. What I love though, that highlight there about Puni, Coach, you're a guy who knows a lot about offensive line play.
Mhm.
What Puni did there, he did a couple of things that were really, really nice. One, he had a hold of the running back and then pulled back at the last second. He had him around the waist and he knew he was going to get flagged, and he pulled that right arm back, and he did it
He's
in a
savvy.
subtle way.
He's
like
savvy.
a veteran. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I really liked in that last play, it really hit home. Puni really does a nice job of keeping his back squared to the line of scrimmage and driving his guy while staying square. It's easy to kind of get into an angle or slide into an angle. He maintains his width. Like if you showed him, we showed that again on the end zone wide, looking at Puni's just from behind and then next to McKivitz, Puni is a much broader offensive lineman than McKivitz. McKivitz is much more narrow than Puni. Puni's a wide body. I love that he's wearing 77 too, because that's a great offensive line number.
Sexy number. Yeah.
Oh, I love that number. But
I have it in my Twitter. I love 77 was my number. I love 77.
Oh, was it? Yeah, 77 is a great number. It's an awesome number on a football field. Whether you're a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman, you just look like a monster when you're wearing the 77.
Double sevens, dog.
I love the disposition of Puni. I love the veteran kind of mindset. I asked him about a play this week, and he's like, from the Saints game, and he's like, yeah, in this play, I stepped on McKivitz's foot. I knew McKivitz couldn't get out to catch the speed rusher because I had stepped on his foot. And so he spun around McKivitz and caught the speed rusher on McKivitz's right shoulder instead of off his left shoulder. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Puni is playing like, sometimes young players do exactly what you tell them to do. And if you don't tell them to do it, they don't do it. The veteran player does what you tell them to do and then does like 10 other things that you don't tell them to do just because they're thinking at all times. And I see that with Dominic Puni. He's got the kind of the game day feel and poise of a veteran offensive lineman. Something happens you're not anticipating, you keep going. If you can help out, you do. If you can hit somebody, you do. He's always looking for contact. He seems really, really smart. I love his kind of, I want to take it to the defensive line mentality. I think he's a keeper, man. That's a great pick.
I mean, I've simply put, one thing that I like about him, and I think this would kind of like coin everything that you're trying to say right now, and I agree with everything you're saying, is that there's a difference between football players that are doing their job and guys who are actually going to go play football. He's playing football. He's not just doing his job. He's not handling his assignment. He's taking in the entire play for what's happening in the moment and understands, like, not only do what I need to do, but what everybody around me needs to do and what I can do to help facilitate that once my job is done. That's playing football. That's when the play runs out and you have your man blocked, noticing that off rip, hey, I've stepped on my guy's foot. He's not going to get there, but I got to get my guy. Let me go ahead and pick up the slack. Now, the only thing about it is that we have seen him playing football on a really high level, but there are some things that we've seen, like him pirouetting to go catch different defensive linemen. That's a no-go. You cannot do that. So there's things where you could tell. One thing that I like about Puni that frustrated me with Spencer is that I wish Spencer had more athletic confidence, where Spencer is fast. Spencer is a plus athlete at guard because he played tackle, but Spencer doesn't trust that. And he doesn't trust his athleticism on the same level as Puni does. And partly because I think that Dominic it's not even close on the strength level. Dominic is actually a strong guy, and he's functionally strong, not just weight room strong. He moves with strength, right? He's got a really good core for him to be able to pull those things off with just his own body to be that size. I don't see that type of core strength from Spencer Burford that you see out of Dominic. And now that you're actually getting it out of the position, it's no secret as to why he took over that position as a starter so quickly.
I like Puni's just mentality. I think Puni's got more of a contact mentality than Burford. I also think Burford is out there to do what you're telling him to do, and he's thinking about do what I'm told to do what I'm coached to do. Where I think Puni is thinking beyond that, like a veteran, like do what I'm coached to do, and then fill in where fit in where I fit in. I mean, keep working, keep looking for somebody else to hit, keep, play to the whistle, to the echo of the whistle, as they like to say. Coach, how concerned are you about the knee injuries for Leonard Floyd and Yatir Gross-Matos? I as I said, I was watching my kids' high school football game in the first half. I didn't see Gross-Matos go down at all.
Me neither.
How concerned? I mean, I didn't hear Shanahan. Well, I guess we'll find out today when we get the update on the MRIs that were scheduled for those two guys, exactly the severity of these injuries. But what do you think? I mean, it sounds like they may have escaped ultimate damage with both. It sounds like knee sprains and not knee tears. As I said, we'll find out probably later today. But what did you think watching it or hearing some of the dialogue about it, either in game or post game?
I was nervous as hell. Jesus Christ, we already thin. Pardon my language, guys, but man, we already thin at the spot. It's like, man, and then we get the two guys that are supposed to be not only the starter, but the backup guy who's younger that's supposed to help out the older starter. He goes down too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was back-to-back plays. It was Yeter was one play and the very next play. It was Leonard Floyd. I'm very concerned about our pass rushing ability right now, especially with the edges. I mean, outside of Nick Bosa, man, it's Nick Bosa, Alex Barrett, Robert Bill Jr. Really, what do we got? Sam Okanau. Outside of that,
he's a great guy. He did get a sack, but he doesn't have enough dynamic movement ability off the edge.
I really do like Sam Okanau. I really do, but he's just
he's from your part of the country, right there.
He's from Maryland. Yeah. He's a Maryland guy.
He's a great kid, and he's really a strong athlete. I mean, strong.
He was beating the hell out of Brandon Parker in camp. I mean, he was abusing.
Brandon Parker got abused last night. Jesus.
Yeah, Brandon Parker.
He's cut.
He's cut. He's done. He was a camp body. But just to stay on topic, I'm very concerned with it. On top of is that Yatir Gross-Matos actually had knee issues before he got drafted. He actually persisted with those knee injuries and missed multiple games when he was with Carolina before we got him. And it seems as though that, old habits die hard. The same exact issues with his knees are starting to arise again. We're just hoping that he's being used on a package role and not necessarily being asked to do 85 to 60% of the snaps. And let's just hope that these guys can stay healthy. I mean, we're not doctors, man. There's no way that we can anticipate these guys staying healthy. But for them to both go down in back-to-back plays in the preseason, and just to hope, I mean, it doesn't bode well, right? But
this is a problem. We'll talk more about this right now because this is a problem spot. This is an absolute problem spot. Let me read one more here. James Foster says, "Great Oakland A's reference, Krug." Haha. Thank you, James. Good to see you're listening. Okay, we are brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And I probably should call up the Mancini's brand here, since I have it here. But yeah, thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Here it is. That's right. Mancini's offers a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. I'm loving my Mancini's bed, man. We picked out a fantastic bed. My wife needs a ladder to get up onto it, but that's okay. With Mancini's, you get free next-day delivery. Click the link below or go to sleepworld.com to find a bed that works for you, whether shopping online or visiting in-store. Use the code KRUG10, KRUG10, K-R-U-E-G 10, and you'll get 10% off your purchase all the way through. Not bad right there. Again, that's KRUG10. You get 10% off in-store or online at sleepworld.com. That's KRUEG 10. and you'll get 10% off at sleepworld.com or in stores there at Mancini's Sleep World. And thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And as you see below there, use code Krug10 and you'll get 10% off your purchase at Mancini's Sleep World. All right, let's talk a little bit about a sore subject for me. It's one that I don't like talking about because I like this guy, but I'm also an unbiased observer. So I call it straight. That's the way it is, and there are no sacred cows. And I love Colton McKivitz, but here's Colton McKivitz getting abused, and the question is Colton McKivitz good enough? Can the Niners win a Super Bowl with Colton McKivitz playing right tackle? And
they don't got no choice.
Here, I know, but here I'm going to show you some of the.
I don't do it anymore. I see it every game, Larry.
Here it is. Here's some lowlights here, and this is hard for me to play because my man Colton. I really like the guy, but here it is. Guy blows by him. Just absolutely blew by him. Dipped the shoulder, blew by him. There you go. And it's the same play on a loop, just in case you're not realizing that. So it wasn't like Colton got beat all night, but this speed rusher dipped the shoulder and he whiffed. He just whiffed, and he's there in the face of the quarterback, altering the throw, and it winds up being an incomplete pass. Coach, I'll stop sharing. Is Colton McKivitz going to be their undoing, or is he good enough and they just need to be good or better around him?
Hey man, everybody has that microwave that you got to smack 3 times and tilt just a little bit right to get the heat to work. We all got that TV that, we got that remote with those 2 busted AAA batteries in there with that foil around it. And if you shake it up just right, it'll change the good channel, but it's going to die after a couple you get the volume up. Too many presses on the volume, it's going to die. You got to give it some more juice. He's just an imperfect vessel. We know what we have in Colton McKivitz. We paid the man. Let's not forget, we bought him. He's ours. They gave the man an extension. They're obviously happy with the level of performance that they're getting from him. We see the blunders. We see the flaws. We're just hoping that we can ride that 40 miles out on this donut before it pops and busts on us. That's what's happening. He's a donut tire. He's not a real patch. We know, we understand that Colton McKivitz, it leaves less to be desired for what a starting right tackle can give you in the NFL. And what we're doing right now is just trying to keep together some level of continuity with the equity that we've put in him. And he's a bargain. Let's just face facts. He's a bargain. One of the reasons why he got elevated is because we got tired of lying about Mike McGlinchey being an ass. He was horrible. Okay. And then we weren't going to pay him. And he's the guy that I like making fun of, but he deserved it, bro. He was so pretentious, obnoxious. Like, you come on, man. Like, you can't be that bad and talk like you're the president. So Mike McGlinchey was bad, and I feel like Colton McKivitz was bad too, but at least he's not costing us tons of money like Mike McGlinchey was. And he's a homegrown player. So we know what Colton McKivitz is. He's an imperfect vessel.
Maybe Puni can help him. Maybe Puni at right guard can help McKivitz be better. Puni, by the way, his final numbers in the preseason, 58 pass blocking opportunities, 2 pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed, 98.3 pass blocking efficiency grade, according to PFF. Not bad.
He's a much better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. What he does in the pass game, he's very talented at pass blocker because he's very strong. But he will help Colton. And I'm glad that you brought that up. He will help Colton McKivitz, and he will expose Colton McKivitz too, because there's going to be a lot of pass protection opportunities where Colton McKivitz is going to be on an island, and he can't blame the fact that you know what Colton McKivitz used to do last year that used to really annoy me is he would hand check. He would like do an inside hand check when he had like a really wide defender to try to almost in a way, make an excuse for why it was taking him so long to get out there. So if he had like a wide defender that was too fast to get off the edge, what he would do is, instead of being seen getting beat out of his kick, he'll do like a quick little to the inside. And it's like, oh, well, if Spencer Burford would be able to handle his guy who's standing on the outside shoulder, maybe Colton McKivitz. And it's just like, no, you're doing that on purpose, Colton. He's not going to get away with that with Dominic. He's not. Dominic's probably going to be looking at him like, bro, I'm good. Handle him. I'm good over here. So Colton better step his game because he will get help, especially in the run game. But in pass protection, every man for himself, especially on those switches. Colton, I see Dominic Puni throwing Colton McKivitz some really good switches because of how strong his hands are. So when these guys tandem off with one guy up, one guy shorter, so they can get that pin and wrap, Colton is going to be, Dominic is going to be throwing guys at Colton McKivitz, and he better be there to catch him.
Well, I mean, people don't realize necessarily how much a veteran mindset can help. And Puni might be a rookie, but he definitely has a veteran mindset. And you can kind of see on some of these ET and TE stunts, some of the games they play up front, the depth that you get as a guard, it makes all the difference in the world, whether or not you pick that thing up, cleanly or your quarterback sitting on his can. So it's like, that to me, I think he is going to help Colton quite a bit. And I think also what will help Colton quite a bit is having one guy, not a rotation at guard, having one guy that he can kind of blend with there at guard. I think is going to be big. We got this one from Judge Shuddy. He says, Larry, you don't play favorites? You had Cowing in the Hall of Fame during OTAs. Ha ha ha. He is going to the Hall of Fame. No,
Jacob Cowing looks good.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Jacob Cowing. Judd, thanks for reminding us to talk Cowing. What'd you think? What'd you think about Cowing, Coach? It's like I said it a month ago. Jacob Cowing, in my opinion, is a better player than Ricky Pearsall. One guy went in the first round. I get it. The other guy went in the fourth round. I get it. But my eyes tell me what I see. And Cowing has got hands. He's got route running. He's got toughness that is bigger than his size. He's got that 4.3 speed. He's got separation ability with ease. He's got good hands. I think Cowing at this level, the NFL level, I think is more, has a better skill set, for success than Pearsall. But we'll talk about Pearsall too. But what did you think of Cowing last night?
I think that Jacob Cowing is to Ricky Pearsall what Deebo Samuel is to Brandon Aiyuk right now. Because Ricky Pearsall isn't necessarily in the best standing because of his injury history with him being hurt right now, for some reason, Jacob Cowing is on his best behavior. It's like you can't help but look at Jacob Cowing's production and think that Ricky Pearsall is not a reach, because the production that he's giving you immediately on the field, I don't think that we've had outside of Isaac Guerendo, which literally just got here. So you could just lump him in. We may have solved our return questions in one draft with Isaac Guerendo and Jacob Cowing. I love Jacob Cowing's return ability. Him being able to have I like the way he stretches the field. He wastes no time. One of the things that would really annoy me about Ronnie Bell, Ray McLeod, Deebo, Brandon Aiyuk. God, you can name any Richie James Jr. All of these guys, they're supposed to be speedsters, but they take way too long. Just get upfield. There is a chaotic madness to being a returner because you have to not care about all of these guys flying at you in the wrong direction. And there is that fear that you have to get over within those first 5 yards. You literally do have to run it blind. You got to push upfield to get those yards and then find something. A lot of these guys, they try to search and find for something, then they see it, and then they get no yards. One thing I've seen out of Jacob Cowing is that he sticks his foot in the ground and takes off upfield immediately. And he's a plus athlete. For him to be his size, right? He moves like he's his size. He doesn't just have speed, but he's got acceleration. He's explosive. gets the ball out, gets out of his routes really good. For what I've seen so far, haven't seen it, but looks like his hands are A1, catches everything that's thrown to him. And he has tenacity, right? I like what Jacob Cowing is giving us right now. And really, I hate to say it, but it's making me wonder why we drafted Ricky Pearsall. Honestly.
I mean, how much better would the Niners have been if they had picked Zach Frazier?
Yes.
Freaking all pro center. I mean, could you imagine if instead of adding Puni, you added Frazier and Puni? By the way, here's the latest.
Offensive line will be solved.
Here's the latest on Pearsall. This is Dr. Pandya. Dr. Pandya is an interesting guy. He's talking about here a shoulder subluxation, and here he is. This is the injury that Ricky Pearsall has. Here's the doctor describing it.
Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Pandya. A lot of 49ers fans found out last night that Ricky Pearsall has been out of training camp and preseason games due to a shoulder subluxation. Here's a quick breakdown of what this actually means. Now, the shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint. You've got your ball, which is the humerus, and the socket, which is the glenoid. Now, if the arm is impacted in a certain way, is placed in an extreme position, or you're born with a looser joint, that shoulder joint can basically sublux or dislocate. Now, what's the difference? A shoulder subluxation is when the ball partially comes out of the socket, whereas in a dislocation, that ball completely comes out of the socket. Typically, dislocations have a higher degree of energy that causes the injury to occur. Now, in general, one of the things you get worried about, regardless of whether it's a full dislocation or a subluxation, is whether there's damage to the cartilage around the shoulder joint that helps to keep it in place, which is the labrum, as well as to the capsule, which is the covering of the joint and the ligaments. In addition, you can worry about injury to the cartilage as well as the bone and sometimes the muscles around the shoulder joint. Now, the good news is that typically with the shoulder subluxation, sometimes there may not be damage to these structures, or the structures can be minimally damaged. So essentially, many players who have a shoulder subluxation are treated conservatively, meaning they don't need surgery. Typically, what you're looking through physical therapy and rest is you want to restore range of motion, you want to have no pain, you want to have full strength, and what you want to make sure is that you don't feel like the shoulder is going to pop out or shift out of joint when you're doing football activities. Now, sometimes players can have multiple subluxations where it becomes a recurring issue. If this is the case, sometimes you do need surgery performed, particularly since the structures in the shoulder have been damaged or been stretched out. If there's not that damage, or a shoulder is able to basically be stable through physical therapy, then you don't necessarily need surgery.
All right, so there is kind of a breakdown from Dr. Pandya, who's a good guy. We have him on. We've had him on the radio on 95.7 The Game for a while, and he's really good at kind of breaking down sports injuries. And as you heard there, he went through Pearsall. The point that I thought was the key point was what he made, the point that he just made at the end, which is that if there is a multiple subluxation of the shoulder,
you got to get it worked on.
Yeah, it might require surgery. And it's according to what Kyle's talking about, he had this problem at the University of Florida. So there is potential that Ricky's going to need surgery and could miss an awful lot of time. So
all right,
I don't know that that's the prognosis yet. It's still kind of TBD, but this situation is, I don't want to say dire, but they drafted a guy who had a shoulder injury, and now it looks like it's a recurring shoulder injury, and he's probably going to wind up missing some significant amount of time. This was my main concern on draft day, is when I wanted Xavier Legette or one of these other receivers. I just didn't love the durability factor here with Pearsall, and he hasn't played at all. He's been in the blue jersey all summer. They've kept this guy in bubble wrap repeatedly, and they can't get to week one. They can't even get him on the field. So what is frustrating to me is that what the pain and the violence and what he's going to have to endure going forward is so much greater than what he's had to endure up to this point, and he hasn't been able to get on the field at all. So until proven otherwise, Ricky Pearsall is glass, and that was a bad pick.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just giving you my state of the state on Pearsall. But what did you think, Coach? Because obviously we didn't see him. You heard the doctor talk about that injury. I don't know if you had that injury as a player yourself, but this is very frustrating with Pearsall, because it's like, did they not do their due diligence on his full medical profile before the draft? You're taking this guy in the first round. Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Well, for me, I have had major shoulder surgery on my left shoulder. And really all of the, like, I love what the doc is doing, but the facts are is that it's like your shoulder is a joint, basically a ball joint, and your shoulder holds in as a ball. Okay. And basically what's happening is that when you get a dislocation, the shoulder comes out of your shoulder joint, right? And you have to put the ball back
and there's
in.
torn adhesions and everything, right?
And there's tendons that attach to the front and the back of the shoulder called labrum. Okay. So what happens is that sometimes the actual connection can be damaged, and because of the cup actually stretching in and out, where if it never comes out but you're still moving inside of the joint, it can become weak, right? And the labrum that's attached around it can become frayed over time. That's why shoulder injuries are kind of like a wear and tear injury. It takes a long time for a shoulder to kind of like necessarily hurt you. So for me, it's not this is a one-time injury, he can get it fixed. This is a wear and tear injury that's gonna keep happening over time, right? So it's literally a shoulder injury that you can't help. I mean, and if he keeps spraining it, after a while, they're gonna have to start looking at the structural damage of it. If he keeps spraining it, that's just what it is. So it's happened before he got here. And then another thing is, like, stop with if it's happened twice since he's been here, can we stop it with all of a sudden it just flared up? This has been something he's been dealing with for a long time. Okay.
Sounds like a chronic situation.
When I got my shoulder done, the first time I hurt my shoulder was in high school. I had to finally get it done once I got into college. So it was a wear and tear injury. So shoulder injuries just don't happen. And when they do that way, they're catastrophic. You know exactly what it is and you can fix it. But
they reoccur a lot.
Yes. But so
why is that? Why do shoulder injuries reoccur a lot?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. I mean, one thing that struck me is that he got hurt blocking. Blocking isn't a load-bearing endeavor. You mean you're putting your hands out on somebody, you're moving them, but I would have expected the shoulder injury to happen something with contact. Maybe he ran into somebody, fell on the ground. So I don't know. And where there's smoke, there's fire, because the physicality of his game was in question before we got him. So this isn't stuff we're making up. You know what I mean? Like, this was out here already. And shoulder injuries just don't come out of nowhere, right? They persist over time. I've had multiple shoulder injuries myself. I've torn labrum in the front and the back, chipped rotator cuffs, all on my left shoulder, bro. So it happens, bro. And shoulder injuries don't get better unless you actually go in there.
Yeah. Oh, they oftentimes are recurring injuries. All right, we've gone this far and we haven't brought up Aiyuk or Trent, but we can't do the whole stream without Aiyuk or Trent. We're only going to go a few more minutes. Aiyuk, coach, what do you think? I mean, God, I don't know what to say. He was in Vegas, so that makes you feel good because he's there with his team. But there still are rumors that he could be traded to Pittsburgh. Still are rumors out there that he could be traded to Washington. I don't want to see him traded because I think the Niners don't win the Super Bowl without him. And I've said as much. Other people are like, "Oh, Krug, you're gone too far." No, I haven't. He's a 26-year-old all-pro wide receiver. You didn't win the Super Bowl last year. You barely got there. It took a miracle catch for this guy to beat the Lions. The Lions are younger and better. The Packers are younger and better. Philly is healthier and younger and better. So the competition in the conference is tough. The competition in the league, Houston's building a dynasty. The Chiefs feel like they still have a dynasty. Baltimore is always loaded. The Niners are, it's not like they've had some margin where they've won the last 4 Super Bowls by 3 touchdowns and now it's them and everybody else. No, that's not where they're at. They haven't won the Super Bowl at all. So yeah, if you take away 26-year-old Aiyuk and replace him with 2025 draft capital, yeah, you're done. You're cooked. You can't win the Super Bowl. Like it, grasp it, embrace it, own it, because that's the fucking truth. Now, if you trade him and you get something in return, that's different. If you get something that you can use in return, that's different. What do you think, Coach? Is he going to come back? Is he going to play with the Niners? Is he going to play? Are they going to trade him at the 11th hour to Pittsburgh? It seems like it's personal. He met with the Niners, and then all of a sudden he didn't go to practice for 3 straight days. A lot of people thought they was on the doorstep to being done, and now then all of a sudden here comes rumors about Washington and the Jahan Dotson trade gets made. A lot of the speculation was the 3rd round pick that the Commanders got from the Eagles in the Dotson trade could have been designed to go to the 49ers in some eventual trade for Aiyuk. That all being said, where are you with Aiyuk? Where do you think it's ultimately going?
Larry, forgive me for doing this. And I don't mean to step on the topic, but I'm over it.
Yeah, we all are, man.
I'm over it, man. I'm
beaten down by it.
Yeah, man. He's at the games now. I mean, just let me know. Let me know what you guys want to do. I'm tired of the competitive implications, the money implications. Why did BA do this? I was so close, Sean. I was really so close. Are the Niners going to sign him? They're going to make it happen.
And now you just call me a flip-flopper because I've traded this guy. I've signed him. I've traded him. I've signed him. I will fully embrace the fact that I'm all over the map on this one. But my basic feeling is the same, which is you got to have him. You got to have him or capital coming back in player form for him. Or you got no shot. You got no shot this year without him or serious talent coming back for him. If it's just draft picks, you got no shot.
Yeah, man. Whatever. Go whatever you get, go get it. You want picks, go get the picks. Whatever. We'll lose. We won't get the player that we want for the season, which is fine. I'm over it. I'm tired of being tired, man. You know what I mean? I really am, bro. I'm to the point right now where I'd be disingenuous if I sat in front of the chat and tried to go over this. I really bro, the money's there. This is their issue. I feel like this is when you're in a friend group and you have 2 friends who can't get over something. It's you two you're not going out with us until you get it handled because it's just ruining the atmosphere. You're just ruining the experience. At this stage of the game, the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk are ruining us feeling good about the season starting right now. They need to get it done. They're not going to get anything draft wise that we'll be happy with for as far as compensation is concerned. So I'm ready to see the bad deal if it happens. And I'm ready to see the bad deal when he signs. Whatever it is, we're going to say, this is what's going to happen. BA is going to sign, and 2 things are going to happen. Some people are going to say, oh, my God, I'm so glad that he's back. And then there's going to be a shit ton of people that are going to say, look at the deal. I can't believe the Niners gave up, blah, 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 blah. And it's just going to be all right, whatever. The Jets play next week. That's all I care about. I'm so over it because this is really off-season talk, right? How much energy are you going to have around this once we play in week 1? Honestly.
Well, maybe a lot if they don't have them and they lose. But
if they don't have them and they lose, then all right, will you give Kyle that excuse if we lose games? Let's say we go into the season without BA, and every week when we get a loss, Kyle some way brings up, well, we kind of had a contentious offseason, don't necessarily have all our guys. That's not going to fly. You're dude, you have your guys. That guy's not here. It doesn't matter. You started the season already. It is what it is. So right now, that's where I'm at with it. Either you're preparing for a season with him or you're preparing for a season without him. I tend to believe they're preparing a season with him. They just haven't gotten the deal out to the public yet. What are you traveling with the team for? If you haven't, what are we doing, bro? What are you traveling with the team for if you haven't signed the deal yet? You signed the deal.
Or if you don't intend to.
Come on. If you don't intend to sign the deal, this has got to be the biggest cock tease of all time. You're just coming to the games with us. You're just blue balling us like that, BA. No way. You're signing. right? And the reason why you're signing is because the Niners can't move you, right? And really, all of this, in my opinion, has been them just warming back up to each other after like a lot of feelings being hurt. So whatever, dog. If they get it done, cool. If they don't, I don't care. I'm really to that point.
I'm so over it.
I'm over it.
I feel like I just, even if they do sign him, like I may just boycott. I may just boycott the locker this year. Just be like, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what he has to say. You know what I mean? I may just not go over there.
Because he's going to be waiting. He knows that we're all watching him right now. You're going to the game in all black with no 49ers insignia on. Ooh, he's so calculated. Oh, look at what Brandon's doing. He's wearing specific clothes that don't have the insignia on them. Oh, look, Brandon's got on glasses. Ooh, he's so dubious. Like, I don't care anymore. I'm over it, bro. Hurry up.
Seriously.
This is too much, man.
Make a decision and let us know. The Big 25 says, afraid that wait a second. He goes, afraid that Mordecai will get claimed by someone if placed on the practice squad. Allen has hit his ceiling already. Kyle has a love affair with Allen and with with Trent Taylor. Yes, Trent Taylor on this roster?
No, he's gone.
Because he's not the 6th wide receiver. He might make it if Pearsall goes. If Pearsall's got some screwed up shoulder, that could help Trent Taylor. Otherwise,
right, so hold on. So wait a minute. So you think Robbie Chosen's a dub? He's done, right?
Yeah.
Chris Conley's a dub too.
Chris Conley's going to make it.
All right,
so he's going to make it. He's going to. So he's the 6th. So it's the 3 big guys, the 2 rookies, and then Conley.
Okay. So Trent Taylor doesn't make it. Tay Martin or Ronnie Bell
not make it. Ronnie Bell, no. Ronnie Bell took a back.
It's time. It's over. It's over for Ronnie Bell. I expected him to really impress us next year because he did enough last year for you to give him clemency. Like, all right, I'll give you a year. Go off in the offseason, go gain some weight, get faster, get better. But he's still as unreliable as he was the day we got him. I'm done with Ronnie Bell. It's over.
I mean, it's funny. I think it just kind of goes to show that, he was kind of maxed out. He was kind of maxed out. There wasn't a lot of bigger to get. There wasn't a lot of faster to get. There wasn't a lot of there. He's basically
hit his ceiling. That's so true.
He looked better and his ball skills looked better last summer than they do this summer. So I don't know what to say about that. Okay, couple things. I watched Trey Lance in Dallas, and I don't know what his deal is going to be, if he's going to make it or not. I saw an article out today, 3 possible Trey Lance trade destinations. Jeez. They say Baltimore, Buffalo, or possibly the Raiders for Trey. Did you watch Trey at all in the preseason with Dallas this year?
I saw some lowlights of him on Twitter. Somebody said, like, Twitter is ruthless. So somebody put together some lowlights. I watched all of those, but I never got a chance to actually sit down and watch him. I mean, he's out of sight, out of mind. Like, I wish the best for the kid. Obviously, I was supporting him when he was here because I wanted to see what he can do. But we do so much focusing on our guys that I don't really get time to even care to watch what's going on. But Trey may get traded again. But I think the story is out on Trey. This would be year 3. We could say it. He's a bust. You want to be, I don't know, pragmatic, but at 3 years in and you haven't cracked a roster where you can have somebody to, invest in you like the Niners did, it's going to be tough sledding to get a team that's going to invest in him that way again.
It's just so much about these sports, whether we're talking about football or baseball, basketball, whatever sport we're talking about. There's so much of it. So much of the skills to play these games could be summarized in feel. And his feel has just been, it's just not quite there. Like it's like he's big enough, strong enough, fast enough, smart enough. He's got all the traits. It's just his feel isn't there. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why his feel.
Well, he's a COVID baby. He didn't really play a lot of football. If you really think about it, like Trey Lance has not played a lot of football. And that's his biggest issue, is that in the NFL, you don't get like a test run to get out here and just get your feet wet without an entire organization backing you. Trey had that chance. And, you know, the only thing that I would see for Trey is like, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Canada or maybe trying to go to another league and where he could actually be the guy and see if he can find his voice there. That's my biggest thing, is that I don't think he's found his voice. You know, you can sing and mimic what somebody sounds like, but that is not your voice. I feel like Trey is mimicking a lot of what he's being coached. I feel like he's mimicking.
I think that is spot on. I think that's totally right. I think he's trying to give his best impersonation of the player that he thinks he's supposed to be, and he hasn't quite just relaxed and just found his own his voice, his own feel, his own style, his own play speed, whatever you want to describe it as. I think he's trying to satisfy others and hasn't really developed his own. The word identity. I would use is voice, or identity. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I see when I see now that he's not a baby anymore. You see him actually. Oh, he's a grown man. You see it, like it's like, dang, dude, like you're mimicking. You know, even the way you're moving, you're thinking way too much. Nobody moves that purposely on the field. Like the extra steps, the over pumping the ball in your drop. Like you could tell that he's trying to look the part as hard as he can. And you feel for the kid because that's not football. You know, I would love to see him relax. It's you know what it reminds me of, and not the same level of player. So I'm not trying to say this, but it gives me the difference between Aaron Rodgers at Cal and Aaron Rodgers in the NFL. When Aaron Rodgers is at Cal, go back and look at Aaron Rodgers' throwing motion at Cal. It was uptight. It was very, very manual, like almost like machine-like. And he was like a mechanical, like one play guy. It wasn't until he got to the league, until that ball came down, his shoulders came down, he was more loose. He more flick of the wrist because he trusted where the ball would come from. And I just don't think Trey has, even with Brock is comfortable out there. You see it in Tanner Mordecai. He has a way of how he goes about moving this offense, right? And I don't think that Trey has his voice yet. I don't think Trey knows how to maneuver an offense based off of how he feels comfortable. It's always him trying to fit in, not the other way around. So
I hope he finds his way, because I think he's a good kid with a good head, and I think he's got some talent. Dale says, all love, Larry. Never think I hate on you. Oh, no, don't worry about it, Dale. Dale also says, trade some of our cornerback talent for some D-line help. We're gonna end right here on this one. To me, the one thought coming out of this preseason, or the one kind of unknown, you say, okay, well, by the way, Matt Mayoko is predicting that both Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk will be on the practice field Wednesday when the 49ers start practicing for week 1. So that's interesting. Just so the deals are done. Yeah. So the deals are probably getting done. So that's worth noting. Coach Yak just put this on Twitter. Matt Mayoko said he would be surprised if Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams weren't back on the practice field this Wednesday, getting ready for their week 1 game against the Jets. Okay, so the one unknown. So if that thing's buttoned down, right, and Aiyuk's going to be here and Trent's going to be here, then really I don't have lots of questions, but I do have one major question, Coach, and it's the one thing I'm looking for this weekend. The 49ers, I think, Coach, are one defensive end shy of what they need, right? They needed Drake. He wasn't there. They have Beal as defensive end 4. They want to go with defensive end. They want 5. And now they've had an injury to Yatir Gross-Matos, an injury to Leonard Floyd. We'll find out later the severity. We don't know. Bosa's the other guy, and then Beal is the only other guy. So they badly need defensive end help. I didn't see Tyree Wilson in the game last night. There's a lot of talk coming out of Vegas, Coach, that the Raiders this weekend are going to trade Tyree Wilson for a day 2 or day 3 pick because they're just tired of him. He hasn't come of age. He was the 7th pick last year, so it's not like he's had a lot of time. But to me, Coach, if there's one thing to look for this weekend, The Seahawks traded Darrell Taylor for like a 6th-round pick or whatever it was. Joseph Osai may get traded from Cincinnati. Tyree Wilson. I think the 49ers need one more defensive end / tackle. And I think they'll probably trade for him here in the next couple days. I think they're going to try to find some defensive end around the league that shakes free, gets cut, or is about to get cut and gets traded. That to me is what what I'm looking for in the next couple days. I know they'll cut it, they'll pair it from 90 to 53 and all that, and they'll tell us whatever they need to tell us about Floyd and Gross Matos. But I think a trade for a defensive end is going to happen involving the Niners in the next 2 or 3 days. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely got to kick the tires on D-line. That's pretty much outside of receiver, which will be fixed, and offensive line, which will be fixed. Those are just injury issues. Right about now, the only unit where it's not about injury, but it's just more about talent and what we have, you would have to say are the tight ends, the defensive line, and the linebackers. Mm-hmm. That's where you would have to say, well, there's no injuries there. We just don't like the talent. We don't like the guys. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners kick tires on another defensive end. I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same as for D tackle. I think we need another D tackle.
Though you know what, Evan Anderson had a couple of really nice plays.
He did look good.
What did you think of him, Coach? Because you saw him, you came out for practice, and you got a chance to take a look at him this summer. What'd you think of Evan Anderson?
I wasn't impressed with him earlier on because I didn't like his body. I thought that he didn't have an NFL body. He was a little too overweight. And I saw it in I feel like I saw that and I made everything else about him like a negative because he wasn't in shape. But he plays with a lot of power. You were right, Larry. I was wrong about him. He does have a really good first step. He's got good feet for his size. I like his hands.
I'll show him on the screen here for the people who want to watch this. This is just a clip that somebody had of him out there. Yeah, he holds and comes off, makes the tackle. He's a pretty strong guy.
Yeah, I mean
that's
you can't
move him. I mean you see 61 drive. Look at 61 driving his legs. He's going nowhere. You know what I mean? He's not moving them. So he's definitely a strong guy, and he's probably the lead candidate for that 5th defensive tackle spot. But you're right. I agree with you, Coach. I would look around the league and see defensive end, defensive tackle. Is there somebody better than Evan Anderson and somebody better than Alex Barrett? You know, otherwise you're going with Evan Anderson and Alex Barrett. I think you could probably upgrade from Alex Barrett.
I would like Evan Anderson playing this year, though. I mean, he's a plus size guy. Also, he gives me a little bit of DJ Jones vibes.
Yeah. Very strong. Very strong. Maybe not quite as quick as DJ, but very, very strong. Holland Tracy says, yeah, Evan Anderson is new. We need to keep him. His fitness will increase. He's got a lot of natural strength. There's no question. He's got ridiculous natural strength. All right, that's going to do it for us today. The cut down is coming down. It's not till Tuesday, but lots of teams will cut down later today. Coach, what do you got cooking today? What are you going to run Hannibal today?
Nah, I ran Hannibal already this morning. We got a call-in show
top of the hour.
Call-in show at about 1:15. And what we're going to do is just go over the game, basically talk about the preparation for the season. You know how it is on the Coach's Huddle. We just love to give the fans an opportunity to share the platform, hear what we have to say from the Niners, from their words, and move on to the next iteration of the season, man. Like, it's on. So I'm excited. Like, the season's ready to start, bro.
Fired up, man. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Mancini Sleep World. They're a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Once again, if you're shopping online or visiting in store, hit the code, use that code Krug10. You'll get 10% off your mattress purchase. That's Krug10 in store or online at sleepworld.com at any Mancini's Sleep World store. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. For Coach, I'm Krug. Have a great day. Peace. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get